Hello there! Are you looking to buy or sell a car in Kenya? Or download Vozillo app from Google Play Store and start selling and buying? Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. with Toto Bansi and DJ Satch live on Elimu TV.
Star Times. Enjoy digital life. The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Good afternoon, class. Welcome to Elimu TV, the station where you watch and learn. I'm your course instructor, Mr. Shem Gatia, taking you through human resource management, both certificate and diploma. Welcome. During our last lesson, we learned about the human resource planning as the first function of human resource management. And as a recap to that, we came up with various human resource plans or HRP plans that you can come up with depending on whether you have a deficit or a surplus. When you have a deficit, one of the plans you can come up with under the human resource planning is actually recruiting or getting more employees to join the organization. And that takes us to the third function of human resource management, which is actually recruitment and selection. The two terms go as synonymous, they go together, but we shall look at the difference between the two. There is a thin line between recruitment and selection. We shall look at the difference between the two. We shall also look at the various sources of recruitment. Where do you get these employees from? We shall look at the challenges that you encounter once you are doing recruitment and selection. And finally, we shall look at the importance and the process, also the process of recruitment and selection. To start with, we go through the definition or the meaning of recruitment. We say recruitment, as a general definition of recruitment, is the process whereby an organization communicates opportunities and information to the labor market in order to attract the quality and quantity of potential employees it requires to fulfill its human resource plan. Can also say that it is also a process of attracting a pool of qualified employees so that they can apply for a vacant position within the organization. The aim of recruitment process in an organization is to obtain the quality and also the quantity of candidates to apply for a certain position. Therefore, the first process is attracting a pool of qualified employees or candidates to apply for a vacant position, and that is what is basically recruitment. Next, we say that a systematic approach to recruitment will involve the following stages. These are the stages in recruitment. And the first step or the first stage under recruitment, you have to come up with a detailed human resource plan. So you start with you draw a detailed human resource plan, and that is the first function of human resource management. You come up with a human resource plan. Remember, we went through the process of coming up with the human resource plan. After you have done the human resource planning, you can come up with the job analysis. Job analysis entails the job description and the person specification. Therefore, the first step is you come up with a detailed human resource planning. The second step, you come up with the job analysis, which includes the job description, that is the nature of the job, in terms of the duties, responsibilities, tasks, and the standards. Therefore, basically, once you hear about the job analysis, this one entails job description and the job and the person specification. Job description, basically, this is the nature of this job in terms of the duties, what is expected of this employee, the responsibilities, the task that this person or this employee will be carrying out, and also the standards. Then, under the job analysis, you come up with the person specification, which basically outlines the skills requirement of the appropriate candidate. Which are these skills, the experience, also the abilities of this person who will be performing the task under the job description. Therefore, first, you come up with the HR plan. Second, you come up with the job analysis. The second or the third step is you identify or identification of vacancies. Once you have done the job analysis, you are able to identify the vacancies within the organization. Therefore, you say that identification of vacancies, that one can be done through the job requisition form, which is drawn from various departments within the organization. Remember that once you have a vacant position in a certain department, it is the duty of the supervisor or the manager to draw a job requisition and maybe forward it. You forward it to the human resource department. Therefore, number 3, you have to get the job requisition form from the various departments. Number 4, or the next step in recruitment, you do the evaluation of the sources of skill. In that case, you identify where you are going to source for this type of skill. This type of skill is normally outlined in the job requisition form from the various departments. Once you have come up with the evaluation of the sources of skill, you have identified where you get the necessary skills, you publish, and that is where you move to the 5th step, which is publication of recruitment information. This one can be in the print media. In other words, you make it public. Number 6, or the 6th step in recruitment, is processing applications prior to the selection process, which involves screening replies at the end of specified period and shortlisting candidates for initial consideration. Once it comes to screening, you look at those employees who meet the minimum qualifications. And those who do not meet the necessary qualifications, you eliminate them. That is basically what we refer as the screening of these candidates. So, we find that under this, selection involves identifying most of the candidates attracted by the recruitment effort. Therefore, it is important to note that selection comes after recruitment. Once you have attracted a pool of qualified candidates to apply for a certain job, then you have to look for those employees or candidates. In this case, they are candidates who meet the minimum requirement, and that is where selection comes in. Another difference that is coming is that under recruitment, it is positive in nature, but selection is negative in nature. So you say that selection, it is negative in nature as it tries to weed out or to eliminate and to remain with the rest. Therefore, another difference between recruitment and selection is the fact that selection tries to eliminate as many as possible so that you can be left with the list. Therefore, it is negative in nature. But under recruitment, we say it is positive in nature as it tries to attract most number of employees, as many employees as possible so that they can apply for a certain job. Another difference that comes up between recruitment and selection is that recruitment precedes selection. In other words, it comes before selection. Therefore, you have to start with recruitment so that you can move on to selection. Of the two, another difference is that recruitment is relatively simpler. Recruitment has the recruiter paying less attention to scrutinizing individual candidates, whereas selection involves a more thorough examination of candidates, where recruiters aim to learn every minute detail about each candidate so they can choose the perfect match for the job. Therefore, another difference is that recruitment is relatively simpler. Once it comes to selection, it is a process, it is vigorous, and it is thorough, as every recruiter will strive to get the best candidate or the best fit for the job. Therefore, another difference, and that marks the fourth difference between the two, we can talk about the scope, the simplicity. We say that the recruitment, in terms of scope, in terms of simplicity, it is simple, in other words, but selection is complicated, and you have to do thorough scrutiny of all these applicants. Another difference is that recruitment is less time consuming and less economically demanding. Therefore, you can split the two differences. You can say that recruitment is less time consuming and it is also less costly, as it only involves identifying the needs of the job and encouraging candidates to apply for them. Selection involves a wide range of activities which can be both time consuming and also expensive. As we shall find out, is that the selection is a process. They can take time. It is painstaking. A lot of activities have to be undertaken for you to come up with the best candidate or the best candidate for a certain job. Therefore, another difference you need to note is that recruitment is less time consuming and it is also less costly as compared to selection. Next, in recruitment, communication of vacancy is done through various sources such as the internet, the newspaper, magazine, etc. Newspaper, magazine, this the print media, and distributes forms easily to candidates so that they can apply. During the selection process, assessment is done through various evaluation stages such as formal submission, written exams, interviews, testing, etc. Implementing the human resource plan will often start with the need to understand the current status of the labor market. The labor market is basically where you get these employees from. Where you get these employees or these candidates from comprises the labor market. Therefore, you say that implementing the human resource plan will often start with the need to understand the current status of the labor market. The labor market is the sphere in which labor is bought and sold, in which market concepts such as supply, demand, and price operates. Therefore, in short, we say that the labor market, by definition, this is the sphere, or this is where you get this labor from. Once you hear about a market is a place whereby you find it is a sphere that is affected by various forces such as supply and demand. And the same case applies to the labor market. It is affected by various forces such as the supply of labor, also the demand for those labor or for that labor, which will in the long run affect the price of the labor. Now from there, we look at the various sources of labor. And first of all, we shall look at the internal sources of labor. How can you get this labor from within the organization? Do you have to get an employee from outside the organization? No. You can actually get an employee from within the organization. In which ways can you get these employees from within the organization? That comprises the internal sources of labor. Number one, you can get these employees through retention of skilled individuals or skilled workers. It is not necessarily that those people who have or those employees who have attained the age of retirement that they go. You can retain special individuals who have a specialized skill or who have shown an exemplary performance throughout maybe their tenure. So the first source of internal recruitment is through retention of skilled individuals. The second one is transfer and redeployment of individuals with particular skills. You can bring in an employee from one department to the other where his or her skills are highly needed. Also, you can do the deployment, moving an employee from maybe one subsidiary organization to the other. Also, you can train and develop. That is also a tactic and a technique that can be used so that you can avoid external recruitment. You can train and develop employees in the required skills and abilities. If it is a skill to do with IT, you can do the retraining, or you can still instill these skills to the already existing employees and avoid recruiting or getting employees from outside the organization. Also, you can have exploiting. You can exploit contact with present employees, and in this case you normally get referrals from existing employees. Once you need a certain position to be filled, you can consult with the already existing employees and they can give you referrals of family friends. They can also give you referrals of friends, people that they may know, former acquaintances, etc. Therefore, a very good example or a very good source of internal recruitment is actually the referral from the existing employees. Therefore, if you're asked to list, you're supposed to explain the various sources as the retention of skilled workers, transfer and the deployment, training and development, and also referrals by the existing employees. The next item you're supposed to go through is the job analysis. And under job analysis, we are going to look at what we mean by job analysis. Once you have done the human resource planning, you have to come up with job analysis. Remember, as we found out, is that the job analysis is basically job description and the person specification. Therefore, under job analysis, we say that it is the determination of the essential characteristic of a job. The process of examining a job is to identify its component parts and the circumstances in which it is performed. We also say that job analysis involves collecting data about the performance of a job in the organization. However, this definition is probably too simplistic when all the different types of information that must be collected are considered. For example, the data collected should clearly describe exactly what is required to perform a specific job. Therefore, in simple terms, what you should note about job analysis is a process whereby you identify or you map out the nature of a certain job in terms of maybe the task, the hardships, the responsibilities, the standards, etc. And therefore, after that, you determine the most suitable person to perform those tasks in terms of maybe the skills, abilities, etc. Next, under the job specification, we are supposed to know what we mean by knowledge once it comes to an employee, what we mean by a skill, and what we mean by ability. And this one, in human resource terms or perspective, they are referred to as the KSA or the KSA. These ones are what substitute the person specification. Therefore, after the break, we shall look at the meaning of knowledge, the meaning of the skill, and also the meaning of ability, still under the job analysis.
Hello there! Are you looking to buy or sell a car in Kenya? Vozilo Kenya is here to help you. Just visit www.vozilo.co.ke or download Vozilo app from Google Play Store and start selling and buying. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. with Toto Bansi and DJ Satch live on Elimu TV.
Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Tangu mwishoni mwa mwaka jana, homa ya virusi vya korona yaani COVID-19 imeibuka kuwa tisho kubwa la kiafya. Maambukizi ya homa hii yameenea ulimwenguni kote, wala hakuna aliye salama. Serikali kupitia idara ya afya imeweka mikakati, miongoni mwao ikiwa uchunguzi wa homa ya korona miongoni mwa wasafiri katika mipaka yake yote kote nchini.
I'm very happy about the screenings that are going on in Tanzania and Kenya. I think it's very proactive that you're thinking about stopping it at the border so that it does not spread.
Inatisha kufikiri kukohoa tu kidogo kwa mazingira haya unaweza sababisha mlipuko wa homa hii usio na kifani. Ili kuzuia haya, serikali imeweka mikakati tosha kuhakikisha usalama wa Kenya wote.
The facility has all the equipments you need from handling a basic patient up to ICU setting.
Hata hivyo, wewe pia unalo jukumu katika kusaidia kuzuia kuenea kwa maambukizi.
Citizen responsibility is the key to the success of this initiative and these measures. Let's all do what we have to do individually. And this is how we are going to defeat this disease.
It's just our general hygiene, okay? And that now means at workplaces, we should ensure that our work surfaces are clean.
Always ensure that nimefanya proper sanitation ya mikono. Every time na board matatu, lazima ni sanitize mikono.
Sisi kama taifa tumepata kukumbana na changamoto nyingi na kali maishani, na kila wakati tumeibuka washindi. Hii homa ya COVID-19 hata kama inatisha, si tofauti nazo. Komesha korona. Zingatia maagizo kutoka Wizara ya Afya. Nawa mikono jinsi inavyostahili.
The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Okay, welcome back. Under the job analysis, we have the KSA. We continue. KSA is an abbreviation or an acronym for knowledge, skill, and the abilities of the employee, which are actually captured under the person specification or job specification. Knowledge is defined as the degree to which a job holder is required to know specific technical material or specific technical aspects pertaining to his job. Therefore, knowledge is defined as the degree in which a job holder is required to know specific technical aspect of the job or technical material. A skill is defined as adequate performance on task requiring the use of tools, maybe equipment and machinery. Therefore, in most cases, you find that skill is more so on manual jobs, on manual work. Therefore, there is adequate performance on tasks requiring the use of tools, maybe machines, equipment, etc. Ability refers to the physical and material capabilities needed to perform tasks not requiring the use of tools, machinery, and equipment. Further, where the job is completed must be considered. Therefore, in short, we say that the ability is the physical, refers to the physical and the material capability needed to perform a certain task that does not require the use of tools, the use of equipment, and machinery. So, the type of information that is collected during the job analysis is shown as follows. This is the information that is normally collected during the job analysis. Number one, the first information that is collected under the job analysis is the work activities. Number two, we talk about the work-oriented activities. That one can be captured under the work activities. What specifically or what exactly is this employee supposed to perform? That is basically the work activities. Number two is the machinery, the tools, the equipment, or the work aids, maybe the safety gears, etc., that are needed to perform that job. So the first component of job analysis is the work activity. The second will be the machine, the tools, equipment, and the work aids. Also, another thing that another component is whether the job is related is tangible or intangible. Tangible, it means it has physical attributes. Intangible, it implies that this is a service. Also, another component which that is captured is maybe the work performance, what is expected of this employee. The personal requirement, what is expected in terms of this employee, the physical attributes, etc. Also the job context, and so forth. Next, we say that job analysis, in a broader definition, we say that job analysis is the process of determining and reporting pertinent information relating to the nature of a specific job. It is the determination of the task which comprise the job and of the skills, knowledge, abilities, and responsibilities required of the holder for successful job performance. Therefore, the two parts under job analysis is basically the nature of this job and the skills and the knowledge, abilities that are required for this person who will be conducting or will be performing these duties. Next, he says that the end product of a job analysis is a written job description of the factual activities. Supposed to be actual requirements of the job. Therefore, the end product of a job analysis is that you're supposed to draw or come up with a written job description. Now, why is job analysis important? Why do you have to do the job analysis? That takes us to the next topic, which is actually the uses of job analysis. Remember that you cannot do recruitment and selection before you do the job analysis. You need to know the nature of the job. You need to know the person who will be working in this job. Therefore, number one and most importantly is that job analysis is used. It is actually a prerequisite in recruitment and selection. You have to do job analysis once you are doing recruitment and also selection. Number two, the next importance of job analysis is for performance appraisal to assess how well an employee has fulfilled the requirements of a certain job. Remember that job analysis is also used in job evaluation. Under job evaluation, you look at the relative importance of one job as compared to the other, and it forms the basis of performance appraisal of employees. Therefore, for you to conduct a performance appraisal, you need to know the nature of this job, the hardships of this job, etc., so that you can get a benchmark on how to measure the performance of this employee. Therefore, number one, we say that job analysis is used in recruitment and selection. Number two, we say it is used in performance appraisal, so that you can assess how well an employee is fulfilling the requirements of a certain job. Another importance of job analysis is that it is used in devising or coming up with a training program to assess the knowledge and skills necessary for a job. Therefore, it is also used to come up with a training need within an organization. Once you look at the nature of the job, this is where you can come up with, or you can come up with a training need pertaining to the performance of a certain job. Therefore, basically, job analysis is used in recruitment and selection, in a performance appraisal, and also in devising these training programs pertaining to these jobs. Another importance of job analysis, it is used also in establishing the pay rates. Once you look at you analyze and find that a certain job is more complex than the other, of course, it goes without saying the pay rate has to be higher. Therefore, under the job analysis, you are able to come up or to establish the pay rates. Also, you are able to identify the hazards in a job. The hazards literally means the dangers that are posed once it comes to performing of a certain job within the organization. Therefore, it is important to note that job analysis is used in all those functions of human resource, recruitment and selection, also performance appraisal, training and development, compensation management, and that is basically establishing the pay rates and also identifying the hazards or the dangers of a certain job. The next item you are supposed to note is the methods in which you use, or how do you get this information concerning a job, and that is basically the methods that are used in job analysis. How do you get this information regarding a certain job? The first method in which you can gather this information about the job analysis is observation, and we say that observations, the analyst watches, and the observation is that the analyst watches and records job holders' activity of working practice. When jobs are routine and therefore repetitive, the task time and the performance standards are established. Therefore, under the first method in which you can come up with job analysis, or you can gather this information that are necessary in job analysis, is actually through observation. And we say that this one is very easy, especially for routine jobs or where the tasks are repetitive, because you can be able to establish the task time, or the time that is required to perform a certain task, the performance standards needed for an employee to perform a certain routine task within the organization. Therefore, in short, the first method is observation. The second method, you can come up with questionnaires, or you gather this information through questionnaires and interviews to the job holder. Managers may be used or may be asked to complete a certain questionnaire. You can come up, as a human resource practitioner, you can come up with a checklist in which the supervisor or the manager is supposed to fill. And this one is basically to establish maybe the hardships or the nature of this job. Also, you can interview the job holder on how they perceive the job, its complexity, the nature, their suggestion, etc. Therefore, the two main methods that are used to gather this information for job analysis is observation, and the second one is filling of questionnaires and also conducting interviews with the manager and also the job holder. The first part of the job analysis, as we mentioned, is the job description. And the second part is the job specification or the person specification. Now we are going to look at the first part of the job analysis, which is the job description. And they say that a job description is the broad description of a job or a position at a given time, since jobs are dynamic. Or in other words, he said that the jobs keeps on changing, therefore you need to review the nature of these jobs from one time to the other. So therefore it is a broad description of a job or a position at a given time, and this is done because jobs keeps on changing. We can also say that a job description is a written statement of those facts which are important regarding the duties, responsibilities, and their organizational and operational interrelationships. Once we are coming up with the job description, it needs to have the following components. Number one, you need to come up with the job title or the content of a job description. You can come up with a job title. Examples of job titles: you can have a teacher, a doctor, etc. Number two, or the second component of a job description, is the job summary. This is done you can capture that in some few paragraphs. You say that job summary, showing in few paragraphs the major functions of that job. Then you also need to come up with, under the job description, we talk about the job scope, showing how much should be done. It shows, or it sets the limit of how much should be done with a certain job. For the first is job title, the second one is the job summary, and it is in few paragraphs. Then the scope of that job, how much should be done and how much should you not go as an employee. The next component of job description is actually the authority and the responsibility of the job holder. The authority, by authority, you can talk about maybe the degree of power that is vested on this employee to perform the various tasks within a certain job. Also, you need to evaluate or to include the interrelationship with the closely related jobs. How is a certain job related to a certain job, which are closely related? That is also another component of a job description. You also need to come up with the working hours. From what time to what time should this task be conducted? Should it be from 8 to 11, or basically the working hours? Also, the basis of pay and benefits. Should the payment be made in terms of a wage, fortnightly, maybe weekly, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis? That one is captured under the job description. Also, we have the conditions of employment. These are the terms of employment and the policy that you are supposed to adhere to. Also, the physical conditions are the health hazards or the risk that you may encounter in the performance of the job. Also, another component of the job description, we also have the opportunity for training. The opportunity for training should be spelled out. Also, the opportunity for promotion, under which circumstances should training be taken, or should promotion occur, or even transfer. This one should be made clear to the employees, and it is also a component of this job description. Therefore, what should also be clearly spelled out is the opportunity for training, transfer, and also the promotion. The last item that should be captured under the job description is the objectives and the expected result of the job. What is expected of that job, or what are the objectives of conducting or doing a certain